1st of April, and look who's joining us, ladies and gentlemen. It is the one and only Ron the Car Guy from Westside Auto Pro, and we are talking tires today.
We are going to talk cars, and we're actually going to talk about tires for cars. It'll probably bore everybody except you and I, but we'll think it's really cool.
No, this is right in everybody's wheelhouse. I'm in the process of getting a couple of trailer tires. Baraki has some tire issues.
We got flat tires in the driveway, and Jason, he drives on no tires.
I had some that are coming apart on the trailer, and so those are getting replaced today. So.
Awesome, awesome. Well, one of the things I want to, when people start looking at tires, the qualifications that the average person knows is round and black, and then sometimes they'll even know the size. But if you actually look at the side of a tire, there's a whole bunch of other numbers on there, and people aren't always aware of what it means. So the first one I want to talk about, we've got it up here on the screen, is tread wear rating.
What is that?
And it's 200 on this tire. But every tire out there will have these markings that I'm talking about. So tread wear in this particular tire case is 200, and you'll see it anywhere from 200. I've seen it as high as 620 on a tire.
What's it stand for?
It stands for how long the tread's going to last.
What?
So 200 what?
Yeah.
Well, it's a mathematical formula, but the important part is 600 is better than 200.
Okay. 300
is better than 400. So the higher that number,
the more expensive the tire.
Probably, but also the longer the tire is going to last.
Okay.
So tread wear is important. Now, here's where it gets tricky on tread wear. There's no standard.
So one brand could have a number saying 400, somebody else can have a number saying 400, and they could mean two totally different
things. So it has to be compared within the family.
Gotcha.
Meaning the manufacturer. So on like a BF Goodrich tire, a 300 tread wear versus a 500, the 500's better. But
in that type of tire.
In that brand. Outside of that brand, it means nothing. You can't compare tread wear on a Goodyear to a Michelin or on a Firestone to a Uniroyal, but you can within the family, which is still helpful because you go to buy, let's say you go to buy a Michelin tire and there's 3 different models. Well, the tread wear will help you compare the models. So it's helpful. It would be phenomenal if the rubber manufacturers would come out with an industry standard. Because sometimes what we'll see is maybe an offshore tire or a no-name or secondary name tire. I mean, they all have high tread wear numbers, 400, 600, stuff like that.
Right.
And if you don't know that it means something outside of the brand, the family of tires, you might think that that's going to be a longer lasting tire.
It's probably not an accident either. So
is it going to?
What's that?
It's not an accident either.
No, that probably didn't happen by accident.
Is a 600 tread wear going to last 3 times longer than a 200?
Within the same family, absolutely.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's simple.
Yes, it's that simple.
Interesting.
Absolutely. Excuse me. The next one I want to talk about, the next picture, we can see the tread wear here is 280, but we're going to talk about temperature and traction. And these are markings, again, that are on every tire. Temperature, when you see these A's, you got to think like school. A, B, C. A was better than a B, and that was better than a C. We don't go below a C. There's no D or F because they flunked out and you can't be a tire if you're a D or an F. But temperature is a little confusing because you think it has to do with the outside temperature. It actually has to do with the tire's ability to absorb and dissipate heat going down the road. And heat's important because if you build up too much heat in the tire, that's when it blows out. That's why a low tire going down the road blows out because it can't get rid of the heat. Now, temperature and traction are universal. So an A temperature rating on a Michelin and a B temperature rating on a Uniroyal, the Michelin's better. So that can be compared outside of the family.
Okay.
And just for car guy knowledge, the way they grade that is an A means the tire can satisfactorily get rid of the temperature at speeds over 115 miles an hour.
Oh, really?
B means it's 100 to 115. C means it's 85 to 100. So a B or a C temperature tire doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad tire, because maybe the exception of Lou and Jason, you're not going to drive over 115 miles an hour anyway.
Right.
In most cases.
In most cases. Yeah, it depends where you're at. Yeah, you probably exceed that once in a while.
Every Friday.
On the weekend.
Every Friday.
And then the traction, again, where A is better than B, B is better than C. That test is you've got to know algebra. I mean, it's really complicated to explain, but it has to do with the tire's ability to have traction on the road. I mean, it is what it actually says. And there's an A, B, and a C. And then several years ago they came out with a double A because they found tires were better than what the A rating was that they had originally made years ago. So a double A is better than an A, and then a B and a C.
Is this like those skid pad tests where they go around in those tight circles and try and get oversteer and all that?
That's called a donut. I did those in high school.
Yeah, I know. Those are fun. I do those here in the winter when I get to work.
All right, we have one more photo, Ron. What do we have?
We do. We have one more photo. We've talked about it before. This is the DOT number. And what we're really concerned about is the last four. The first part tells us where it was made and stuff. The last four is the born-on date of the tire. So the last two numbers are the year, and the first two are the week of the year. So this particular tire was made the 35th week of 2007.
Gotcha.
Okay, that's how that guy, I told this guy yesterday, I said, these tires I think are fairly new, and he looked at me and goes, oh no, they're 15 years old.
Yep, the last two are the important thing. We don't care about the week, but the last two, the 07 is the year. Tires have a shelf life. The Rubber Manufacturers Association and research has determined that tires are usually good for about 6 years.
So the 15 years is probably a little past prime.
Is that where your trailer tires are?
The ones that were coming apart, yeah.
And that's what happens. The rubber dries out.
And that's what happened, too.
Yeah, and then they blow out.
They're coming apart. They break apart.
And that can happen anytime after 6 years. Why that's important is when you go to buy tires, ask them what the DOT number is, the last four. Because if you're looking, if a tire has a life of 6 years, and you're looking at buying a tire that's already 3 years old, even though it hasn't been installed on a car, it should be half price.
I think you better get it for half price.
Absolutely, absolutely, because it has nothing to do with it being inflated on the car. I mean, that rubber will dry out sitting on a shelf.
Very good point.
The DOT number is important.
All right, we'll check that out today.
Good stuff.
People have other questions about this or anything else. How do they get a hold of you to ask you a question?
If you want to get a hold of me personally, you can go to askronthecarguy.com, or you can go to our website, westsideautopros.com, and you can click on a link. I answer all questions.
Or just stop by Westside Auto Pros, walk in and go, hey, Ron, I have a question for you.
Absolutely.
There you go. Perfect.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Good
You're
job
welcome.
as always.
Thanks,
buddy.
Ron.
We'll be right back. It is 6:30.